Summer is a time for many families to get away together and enjoy time together. But planning a successful family outing can be a challenge for families with neurodiverse kids and teens. Here to help us make the process a little less daunting is clinical psychologist Dr. Sharon Saline. Good morning, Dr. Saline.
Good morning, Alana. It's wonderful to be here with you in person.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Saline. And let's jump right into it. First of all, when you think of a family outing, you think location, 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 right?
Yes.
And what's it like picking a good location with neurodiverse children?
Right. So what you want to do is include them in the process. So you want to pick a location that doesn't require too much planning and talk with your family about the available options for them, what people want to do or what you can do, so that you can work together to make a good experience for everyone. And brainstorm any ideas first, negotiate, and sometimes you might even need to take a vote. And if, one child's idea isn't the idea that's chosen, that's okay. Maybe their idea will be chosen next. And you can also, rotate. But you want to work together to make something fun and have everybody compromise.
Dr. Saline, you often have children as family members collaborate as part of creating a plan.
Right.
And I think that is so smart to get them involved. Can you tell me the benefits of that?
Well, when kids collaborate, they have buy-in. Their participation ensures that they're actually excited about what you're going to do. Instead of, oh, I'm not sure, you're making me do this. It's, oh, I'm excited because something that I want is part of what we're doing. And so we want to, help. We want to really encourage that because it sort of ups the ante a little bit.
It certainly does. Now, on the flip side, though, I imagine you have to manage some expectations.
Absolutely. We want to limit our expectations to whatever happens so that it's okay with all of us. So what that means is set a couple of guidelines and boundaries about what isn't okay, and then talk about what might happen and what might not happen. This way you share what your hopes are, they share what their hopes are, and you can kind of move around the possible disappointments and the obstacles and work on what you want rather than what you don't want.
Yeah, like have something good in mind during the experience.
Exactly.
Making it more positive for everybody rather than focusing on the negative.
Right. We want to focus on the positive, and I think that's important because when we have an outing, there are things that are going to go wrong. Right? There are runny noses. You're going to trip. You might get a scrape. People forgot their bathing suit when you're going to the beach. I mean, there's always something, right? So what we want to do is to try to pivot to what is going well, what is working, and we'll make it work. You forgot your bathing suit? That's okay. You can just wear your clothes.
Just run right in.
Exactly.
You can dry off in the car.
Exactly.
We've all been there, right, parents?
Right. No big deal. And so that way, you want to also, when we talk about collaboration, include your kids in the prep. Give them some simple tasks. Write them down so they can check it off. Make it a family event in all ways, not just deciding the location, but in preparing for it. And then when you get there, how is it going to be?
So Dr. Sharon Saline, to that point of getting them involved with certain tasks, what kind of specific tasks are you talking about?
Well, for example, if you're going to the beach, each person can pack what they need. You could write down bathing suit, towel, book, toys. Write something down for your kids so they can plan. Sometimes when you're going on a trip, if they pack a suitcase, again, using a list to move it through, you can circle back and make sure everything's included, but give them some sense of autonomy. Hey, you know what, Sasha? You get the games, and James, you get the stuff for the stuff for the beach. Board games and cards, and then beach toys, and so that they're part of the process of planning, preparing, and making it happen.
Yes.
And this is, of course, a lifelong executive functioning skill.
Exactly.
Right? So it's organization, planning, and prioritizing. This type of participation not just helps lighten your load as a parent, but gives them tools and practice for how to create things when they're older on their own.
This really speaks to me now that my children are 12. I'm giving them more tasks to do on their own so they can see the value of that and how important their role is in the family.
Exactly. Let them pick the snacks. They're going to be eating them anyway.
Exactly. And if they forget the snacks, that's why they're hungry, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, Sharon, your next point is creating guidelines about appropriate behaviors.
Yes, this is very important because you don't want to go on an outing where everything is a don't. don't do this, don't do that, you know, you don't. We want to have again, that positive experience. So sit down before the outing and say, okay, what do you think the guidelines should be? You know, let's pick one or two things that are really we're going to avoid doing. And those mostly have to do with safety. Right. That's the primary goal, because ultimately, if someone breaks their ankle, or gets burned in some way, you know, really bad sunburn, or maybe they put their marshmallow too close to the campfire. Exactly. Then you have a whole set of other issues. So set guidelines, for example, not swimming alone without permission, don't hike away from the group, please stay with us in the picnic area instead of wandering off. You know, and you want to remind your child or teen of those guidelines when you arrive at the location, because as soon as you arrive, their brains are like, whoa,
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Exactly.
They're like running off into the water, like just
wait. Right. And the way that you do that is just tell me, hi, you know, Micah, can you tell me what are the 2 rules you must remember while we're here? And then you know that they know, and then they can run off.
Right. Eye contact, I imagine, is very important during that, right?
I call that the rule of 3, actually.
Oh, tell me.
I'm going to state the direction. I'm going to make eye contact, so that's number 1. Number 2, I'm going to state the direction or ask you a specific question, and then you're going to repeat it back to me, and I'll acknowledge that I heard it. 1, 2, 3. Eye contact, statement, and then repeat.
That's wonderful. And Dr. Celine, your last point was stay positive, which I think we emphasized throughout our segment, right? The importance of focusing on the positive.
So nothing happens the way we plan it. You know, that's part of the beauty of our imaginations. And so what we want to do is deal with what is and be able to say, okay, well, this wasn't exactly how I thought it would be, but I can manage, I can pivot, because that models to our kids how to be resilient. And ultimately, that's what we want them to carry with them into adulthood, is resilience. So when we go on an outing and, you know, we get a flat tire, this happened to me yesterday. I was biking with my husband and my daughter, and my husband got a flat tire. We had to go with it. We waited while he changed it, still didn't have enough air. My daughter and I cycled home, got the car, went back and picked him up. But we weren't all cranky, no one was yelling. It was just like,
you just deal with it.
You just deal with it. And that's what we want to be able to do on our family outings, because something will happen, and it's our recovery and our ability just to say, okay, well, that was that, let's move on.
Yep. Well, Dr. Sharon Celine, such a pleasure as always. Thanks
Fabulous.
so much for being here.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.